Hi guys. I'm like on one today. Sorry, I have not socialized besides my sister today and the lady at Target. So,
I'm the lady at Target.
Oh, okay. So, hi everyone. My name's Tyra, and this is.
I'm Kale.
Hi, Kale. And we're going to be talking about our just about things within Women History Month and honoring our month and the people that we are very appreciative of. So, period. Um, Kale, do you want to give us a little intro on who you are, what you do, what you've been up to?
Sure. I'm Kale. Tyra and I met in college because we were both doing. Oh, Tyra wasn't an RA, but I was an RA, notoriously. But we worked together. Yeah, we met through the RA job, but we connect on another level because we're both artistic. Because yeah, I studied art history, but I also do like museum work and photography and like kind of stuff like that.
Yes, we were on the floor of the humanities, the best floor. The
Humanities floor.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, you were my favorite person to go thrifting with.
We literally should have made a Chicago thrift haul and we would have got 1 million views. I'm so sad.
Like whenever we both get vaccinated, we gotta go.
Oh, I'm going. I'm going like as soon as I get vaccinated.
Right. Cause I miss thrifting with you.
Mm.
All right, so I just wanted to get into the first topic. The first topic is, who are some people in your personal life that are women that have impacted your life in any way?
The go-to, I think everyone's go-to is like their mom, obviously. Like, and I've always looked up to my mom. My mom has a really strong like work ethic, and I'm very conscious of like the labor that went into not only raising me and my siblings, but like I think a lot about like intergenerational labor and how like she's had to work and what kind of work she's had to do so that I can do the work that I want to do and like have the opportunity to do like art and stuff. And I think about that not only of my mom, but just like of the generations before her, even too, of like, especially like having migration in our history of like what other people have had to do to that extent. But in addition to my mom, also I really like the like women of color we met through school because we had a really diverse school. And so my friends like you and Bendita and like all of the little solid group that we have, like I got so much out of those relationships because we all it felt like it didn't take us a long time to just become friends because we all kind of already like there's a lot of things I didn't need to like explain to you guys, or like I don't know why I say people. I didn't need to explain like I don't know, we were already like thought the same things are funny and like we already like think the same things are nonsense. Like we have the same like tolerance level about a lot of things, and it's just like I don't have to do any explaining. Like I can show you something I saw online and like we both have the same reaction to it, but it's because of like our shared experiences, regardless of what they were, just like of having to go through the same like nonsense.
Exactly.
But it's nice to go through nonsense with someone else. So
Yeah. No, exactly. Shared trauma. We love a good trauma bond.
it's more than a trauma bond though, too.
Yeah, no, it's deeper than that. We like really understand each other on like a deeper level of just like we have like emotional intelligence. We have similar interests because we got our degrees in like things that are both like art based, and most of our friends got things where either helping people through like medicine or through art. And so it kind of like it makes sense that we like got to know each other on such a deep level, and we're so like close, like our little group, because we had so much in common, and like we kind of understood life in the same way. So yeah, it totally makes sense.
I think something else too is like I feel like we're all really funny in like really different ways. Like I especially like Maisha.
Oh my god, I
I wish
can't
Maisha could
better
have been with us. Maisha is freaking hilarious, and I think that was what was funny about our group too. Is like we all contribute in different ways, and we everyone is like still very different and very like set in their own personality and their own sense of humor, but like we all just come up with different ways to be funny, and it's really funny then to see how they all like match with each other, but like everyone else is like everyone's contributing something new to the group, and that's really cool. And
Yeah.
it's also funny because I don't want a friend group that like everyone has the same sense of humor where like everyone can contribute something and it's still funny to me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very lighthearted. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, for me, the person that's been, well, the woman that have been like very influential in my life is of course my mom, and also my mom's mom, my grandma Etta. Both of my parents, well, my mom, she migrated from England, but her mom migrated from Jamaica. So it was kind of like two, like, my mom had to go through two transitions where like having this micro um, culture within her family and her family friends, and also kind of assimilating to British culture and stuff like that. And then like also coming to the United States and having to learn the culture of the United States and being a Black person in the United States. Uh, and like it is hard, and like my mom talks about like her experiences with like racism between like England and the United States, and she says they're totally different things, but
Mm.
both very valid and uh, exhausting. So like she's helped me a lot in like understanding like my own like emotions and coping mechanisms, and how to like get through life and not like look at things at such a cynical and um, just sorrowful way,
Mm.
but be more positive and like also look at the bright side of things. And my grandma, she's a like she be telling jokes and you would never guess, because like she's just this, she's not even little. She's taller than me, but like she's just this Jamaican woman that like just be saying things on the sly, but you wouldn't hear it. She'll just say it to you on the side, and so you'll be cackling, and then she'll just act like nothing happened. Like she's sneaky, and she also has gone through a lot in her life where like um, whenever my mom was 15, her husband. Well, her dad and my grandma's husband passed away, and she also was in the United States because she was trying to get a visa to work to move her family to the United States. But then when my grandpa passed away, she came back and stayed in England. So it was just like a thing of like being away from her family and then things going wrong and then going back, and then like being able to be that just be like the keep the tempo within the family. And that's something that like has been passed on, is like being very family forward and being very family oriented. And that's why I like really value my family and friendships, because honestly that's like, I don't know, that's how I get through life. That's the family and friends are my support system. So like understanding those relationships and caring for them is what I've learned from my mom and my grandma.
You talking about your grandma being like the biggest support system for your family is making me think because I know that on my dad's side of the family that was more present. My mom's side of the family, her mom actually passed away when my mom was like 11 or something. Like she was really young, so I never got to meet her. But I was wondering your thoughts on like what do you think, and especially since it's on the topic of womanhood, what do you think about like kids and like this whole like family structure and like kind of the matriarchy that that can happen? Because I don't know. I don't know how I feel about kids, but I also don't know if I'd be able to like be a backbone of like an entire network of like people, you know. And I'm sure there's people that like think of me like that with like a friend group or something, but like I feel like there's a lot of pressure when it comes to thinking about being the support system for like something like an entire family.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, like, my mom can attest to that, and, like, I if I were to ask my grandma, I'm sure she would just be will tell me how, like, hard it was. It's definitely no cakewalk, and, like, everyone goes through, like, this dynamic differently, but, like, for them, I think what was really most important was, of course, like the kids and making sure that we were okay, which is a lot because my mom had three of us, and my grandma she had four. So, um, and so it's just like for me, like I could see myself having kids, but not in a long time. Not in a long time. Like I feel like I'll be in my 30s, and I definitely want to adopt. Um, do you hear my sister downstairs? I told her to be quiet, now she's
Is
yelling.
she laughing?
Yes, oh my god.
It's okay.
But, yeah, no, I wanna be that support system, but also I gotta build up myself before I even think about that, like, I
Mm,
don't see how people are can I, like, commend people that are, like, have young families because it's a lot of work, and I feel like within myself, I'm very much still childish and how I think about things, and I need to like I'm not ready to like move forward and be more like think as a unit yet because I'm trying to
mhm.
figure out what's going on for myself. But it's a big step and it's a lot of responsibility. And
Yeah.
I feel like within a lot of like minority groups, um, it's more of a matriarchy than patriarchy. Uh,
Mhm.
like specifically for the Black families and Latinx families, it's definitely more like woman led than male led. Yeah.
Or like women, specifically like women's labor, you know, because I don't know that I always think of it as a matriarchy so much as like the women are just the ones keeping everything together, you know, and making sure, because then you still have men who are like really like toxic masculine, but like can still always go to their mom about things, or like everyone is really dependent on like what would be these matriarch figures if they were like actually like compensating is not the right word because it's not about like getting money or anything, but it's like they still do like disproportionate amounts of work in the family specifically, whether it's like cleaning or like just whatever, or like having to go do errands and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of things that like there's definitely a thing of respect that's needed and like appreciation for like the mothers within families um and how they're seen and perceived because a lot of times like when people are like oh like single mothers and stuff like that they look down on the mom and I'm just like what about the dude that's not there or
Hmm.
what about just like they're trying their best why are you getting mad at the person that's trying to do right you
Hmm.
know I never understood that but then again we live in a misogynistic world so
So there's a lot I don't understand.
so there's a lot of things that just don't make sense. um Now moving on, like who are some people, like some women that have been inspirational that are not like within like the family you know or anything or personal ties to you?
Throughout history,
Throughout history or now?
why is my first reaction just like Donna Summer? I
She's
freaking love Donna
fabulous,
Summer.
okay? She's fabulous.
Her fashion was really cool. I do think especially in the past year I'm trying to learn more like women of color artists.
Mhm.
I don't like obviously I want to learn about women of color artists in general, but I've really been into Cleo Soul, which I know you know,
Mhm.
and I really like Charlotte Dos Santos. She's really cool too. Actually, if I've never showed you her stuff, I need to show you her stuff. But like, I do think I'm really interested because both of them are doing these genres of music that like people don't ever really tackle anymore because they just see it as like oldies or that they're like tired, but it's like you can totally revive a genre, and that's what so many other women of color are doing too, like Solange and like SZA and stuff. Like
Yeah.
there's so much good stuff out there. Oh, I love Flo Milli. I really love Flo Milli.
Yes.
I was
She's
thinking
so
recently
real.
I was
Alabama.
thinking recently about my photos because I asked Noah, I was like, do you think people can see Flo Milli's influence in my photography? Because there would be times when I'm driving around like taking pictures and I'm like, I'm playing Flo Milli. And like I watched also she just did like a mini documentary for like Spotify, and it was really nice because it was her it was her sitting down with like her mom, and I don't know if it was her grandma or her aunt. I'm sorry,
There you go.
'cause I just don't remember. But they were like just telling her they're like how proud they were of her for like being this role model, and that like she's exuding confidence, and like that's what makes her a role model for people. And like that was just so sweet to see, because it's like it's also really hard to get like familial support even when even sometimes like from other women too. But it was cool that they recognized like that what she's doing is about confidence
Mhm.
and about asserting your space in these places that like were not made for you, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's definitely important to like, I mean, obviously have that support system, but also be confident in yourself and like know that whatever you're doing is great and awesome. And then people are gonna eventually flock to your confidence and your craft because it's worth it. It's good.
Hmm.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, for me, people that have, well, women that have been, I keep saying people. I
I
mean,
don't know why. Yeah, I said it too. Wait, also before you go to, are we doing our nails?
yeah, I need to start because like my nails are breaking. Like I just broke this nail.
I think you have the same thing as,
Is it Kiss?
yeah.
Oh my God, it's
So
so affordable.
funny.
But yeah, for me, I would say who's the woman that's been like throughout history that's been like very like influential for me is Eartha Kitt. I love me some Eartha Kitt, and I've been listening to a lot of Ella Fitzgerald as well.
Hmm.
So I've just been listening to a lot of like 40s through 60s music. Um, and it's just like nice to like hear Black women um, that have kind of paved the way for music now,
Yeah.
and like overall production because Eartha Kitt, she did a lot of like musicals, like Broadway shows and stuff. And she was like actually exiled from the United States for some years. Did you know about that?
I didn't. And then I also just recently learned about stuff through the Billie Holiday Hulu stuff too, like stuff I had no idea about.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
then I feel like that completely gets erased from like our understanding of those women too. Because I feel like Billie Holiday and like Ella Fitzgerald and all of them, like they're such household names because we think of like the crooner style, like they don't ever mention any of the like really messed up stuff that happened to them too.
exactly. Um, and it's just crazy because like a lot of times they were doing a lot of stuff for the civil rights movement, and like um, they
Hmm.
they use their art, they use their influence to like kind of um, implement their philosophies on life to like the more mainstream and stuff like that, and very noble because they didn't have to do that, but they did it because they wanted to, and they wanted to be a part of a bigger purpose.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and I think because they definitely, I can't say definitely, but like I'm sure they felt like it's moral obligation too as well. Because I feel like that's something I've especially thought about even in the past year of like, and I know that I felt it before the past year as well. Like that was why like I chose to study what I study in school, just like feeling this obligation to um these larger systemic problems that impact people that are just like us. And that's that does feel like a moral responsibility too, and I'm sure that's something they were experiencing as well.
yeah. Who else? Who else has been influential? Oh, Issa Rae. I am so proud of Issa Rae.
Mm.
I love me some Issa Rae, even though I've never watched Insecure, which I feel like is a sin. um, but I don't know, it's just not for me. But I like her other stuff. I remember watching Awkward Black Girl like on YouTube years ago, and now she recently got a 8-figure production deal. Like this girl is like actually gonna be out here making content and stuff like that. Like she's got the financial backing to like really move forward, which is really hard for Black people within like the film industry, which is so frustrating because this is why we keep
Especially Black women.
yeah, and this is why we keep seeing these like movies and shows about Black trauma because it's not written by and produced by Black people. We don't want to see our trauma all the time. We experience that every day. We don't need to like see it on the
Mhm.
screens all the time. Like, yes, it's important, and maybe that's awareness for other groups, but
Mm.
um, personally,
It
I
shouldn't
don't
be the only. It shouldn't be the only thing available. Exactly. Yeah.
right. Like, I like a good like every time I've been seeing a lot of more horror films that are more based on like I guess um as a whole like white supremacy and stuff like that. um that's been kind of like more of like the villain within the horror genre for Black people. But I'm just like, can we get something
Mhm.
else? Can we get like some slasher stuff? Give us something else too. Like I know it's like really good and it's well thought out and great ideas, but just give us some, some
It just kind of it feels like those it's and I don't know how like this post COVID world is gonna work, but like thinking about like sometimes it's stuff like that, like that's the only way that people have been able to get through these systems. It's like because these systems are so inherently white that like the only thing that they can think of when they think of people of color is their race. And so they're just like, oh, you're making things about your identity and about your race because you're different. Like it's like assuming all these things onto it. And so there probably is some kind of like, not an inter like it's just like a conflict that like the only way I'm going to get through if I want to make a horror movie is to like fit it into something that they're already expecting.
yeah.
But because it's like I also don't like how when there is content about like, people of just specifically one race, it already like just gets dismissed as like being just for them, and it's like white media never picks it up in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's annoying because um all this stuff is valid and like um it should be like seen and heard. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
the right one. Um but honestly, I would love for it to be like the film industry to be not just like I don't know. I think like the people that like the higher ups, like the producers, the people with the money, they need to hire someone else, like a diversity team or something, just so that they can kind of understand that there is, I guess, like layers to Blackhood, and it's not just one way. It's not just, oh, this artist is Black, so therefore they're gonna make art about being Black. Like that's
Mhm.
not how it is. Like I mean, you don't expect White people to make stuff about being white, so why is it
Mhm.
that way for Black people and any other racial groups? So but have you seen Disney? Bob Iger, which is the CEO of Disney, um, he and some other white dude are like the heads of diversity now for the company. I'm like, bro, you couldn't hire someone else?
That's what I was gonna say too. If like you thinking about like a diversity initiative like that, it's like so much of Hollywood in general and what the media and film that we do end up seeing, like it all is so much about like giving us propaganda and like giving us these very specific worldviews, etc. Like they're definitely not thinking about like these like larger issues about diversity. So like anything that we do end up seeing about diversity, even if it, especially if it's from coming from like Disney or something, like it's gonna be diversity through like a white lens. And so I
Yeah.
don't know. I stopped holding out for hope for Disney. I think I was only holding out hope for Disney when I was like younger, you know, because like you just have like, especially being a '90s kid, like we're just fed so much about Disney and like glorify them so much. But like, it's like there's still no black Disney princess because she's a frog the entire movie, and
Right.
even so like disembodied black people as well. Like I don't want to watch these movies where like the only people of color shown just like turn into something else, you know?
It always has to be like some type of transformative um character if they're gonna
Mhm.
attack. And it's like really annoying. But like also sometimes I gotta like pull myself back and be like, okay, that was probably not the intention.
Mhm.
No, it does fall under this trope.
Have you seen I don't know if it's on Netflix, but it might be on Amazon Prime, and so that was why I haven't watched it because I think it is on Amazon Prime. The one about it's like a black girl going to high school, but she takes photos on film,
Mm.
but it also looks like it's like a horror or something.
Hmm.
I don't know what the plot is. I was interested because she does photo. But if it's on Amazon, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't. I'm not gonna be able to watch it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, my Amazon Prime just renewed and I didn't know that I was paying for it. So yeah,
There's also there's something on Netflix though too that's also like a black girl in high school. I thought
I want to write a show. I'm telling you, I want to write a show. I want to write a show. Uh,
writing a show would be really fun.
huh?
Writing a show would be really fun. I've had an idea for like writing a show about RAs for like so long. I
Oh
think it'd be
my God.
so funny.
Someone. No, I will. I will. There's
And
actually
it's like being an RA specifically, or like not that it has to be exactly like what we did, but I do like the environment we were in. Because it was super diverse. And so like I feel like that just like set up so many different scenarios for us that like would not be in a not at all in like an all white group of RAs.
yeah. No, for real. I would watch it. I would love to help. There's actually this thing. It's like called Show Finder or something like that. Or and you can. It's kind of like Google Docs where you can like write scripts. Like it formats the script for you. And it like like the character, the action, blah blah blah. Um,
That's really cool.
yeah, you can share and write together at the same time and like write
Yeah,
notes and stuff. So
let's
if you
do
do
it.
want to write a show, I will write it with you. I've been working on a pilot for like months and
I know
I need
my
to.
friend Matt too. He was an RA like my first and second year. So before you were there, he wants to write a show about being an RA too. So I've like talked about it with him too, and like yeah, if we could collab, that'd be awesome.
um oh, okay. Another question, and then we can talk about anything. Define womanhood for yourself.
I think I'm glad you bring this up because for me, I've been trying to think about this because I feel like I have a really complicated relationship with womanhood, but what I've been able to identify is that that's a complicated relationship specifically because of my exposure to like white womanhood or like white feminism.
Hmm.
And also like more than just that, but I think being a woman of color and being like different, you know, where like and I don't mean like yeah, how do I explain it? Cuz like we don't really people like me and you don't really like abide by so many of I guess society's like ideas of how women should behave or like perform or present or like whatever. And like I feel like a lot of people like immediately have negative connotations about me because of things like that where like I'm automatically like dismissed or discredited just because of how I like just how I am, you know, because I know that I'm like loud. I know that I'm like
Same.
opinionated. I know that I'm not stubborn. Sometimes I can be stubborn, but I think it's
I
just
know I
about,
can be.
yeah, it's about like just having these like very strong opinions and being very set and like is being set in what I want to do and what I want to accomplish.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, like how my body looks has played into that a lot as well. Because that's a whole other thing we could talk about too, is like how clothing size works for women too, and how that is almost, I know what it is, but like it's just structurally makes certain women not feel like women, you know? And so um in addition to that, also how I dress and how I choose to present myself or choose to present my own like femininity. I've really struggled with, because there was a while where I even was just like thought, not that I thought I was like another gender or something, but I was just trying to think. I'm like, well, am I like a gender or something? Like, do I just like not really align with like the gender binary and stuff? And I don't think that that's necessarily true, because like I still do like being a woman. I feel like I am a woman and like all the things that go with that. But I think it's just like I've had a really hard time finding other women or finding any examples of womanhood that looks like the womanhood that I execute on a daily basis. So I think like how I dress and whether or not I'm masculine, like plays a role in the kind of like the kind of femininity that I want to have.
Yeah.
And that's been a really hard like that's something that took a really long time to discover. I don't know if that was coherent, but like I've been thinking a lot about, because it's a lot of different factors that play in such a thing like womanhood, where so many things are gendered, especially for women.
Yeah.
So it's like very complicated. But I really want to hear your thoughts on this too.
No, I totally understand. Like for me, um, because I remember like having this like conversation with you last year, and I was like in your room, and I was just like, yeah, no, I definitely feel like I have like a little bit more of a masculine energy to me, because yeah, I'm loud and I have my own opinions, and sometimes I can come off a little bit strong and assertive at times. I'm not always like meek and shy. So but and you know how a lot of times with like women, if you are like kind of upfront and assertive in yourself, you're seen as bossy or just not a good, like it's not a good thing. But like kind of owning that and like owning how I dress and stuff. Like today I'm dressed kind of girly, but whatever I want to wear that day is what I'm gonna wear. If I'm gonna like dress up and look more like, I guess, masculine in my dress, then so be it. That's how I felt. That's how I feel. And that's the energy that I'm going to roll with. And like people that I've kind of like have looked to and have like had more of like a masculine energy to them, because a big thing within Black women is like we want us to be seen as super feminine, because a lot of times, especially with dark skinned Black women, they get misgendered, and it's like to a point where it's like almost like it's like transphobic, but like we're not even trans.
It's just degrading, you know, like another way society degrades Black women.
Yeah. So for a while I was kind of like scared to like kind of like fall into that kind of more boyish look, because the way I used to dress, people used to think I was a lesbian. Like I was a little bit masculine, a little pretty masculine in how I dress. Like I used to wear like a button down, and I wear like my skinny jeans and like a bow tie or a bolo tie. Like what the frick was I wearing? But it was like what, 2012, so like that was kind of a thing. I was like a Whovian. I was like a really big fan of like Doctor Who and stuff. I was on Tumblr.
That explains it. I'm not lesbian. I'm Tumblr.
But yeah, no, like it was but like the thing is like I didn't care, and I still don't care like what people think. Like, okay, I don't care what you think, that how I don't care how you perceive me because I am comfortable in how I am right now. And I'm comfortable in my womanhood. I'm comfortable in my sexuality. And your perception of me is not going to change anything about how I dress and how I feel.
I
So,
think it's also it's just that society has like such a narrow perspective on what womanhood even is, and I think that that's why it was so complicated for me, because recently I've been really thinking about like there is a way to dress feminine that is masculine, you know, like and I think that that's a direction like I've been really happy to take my like fashion choices in, because like I will wear things that are masculine, but then it looks good on me because of like just the way that I am accentuates that it's still feminine. Like it'll
yeah.
be like whether it's wearing this like a plain shirt and like jeans, like an outfit that could be tagged as masculine, I
Mm,
still took a masculine look and made it feminine. And it's just that like you're never gonna see that in like contemporary like fashion or like any type of like models or just like stuff like that, like, and so I think that that's why it was so hard for me being younger and like not having something to look up to in that way, but then it's also kind of like really fun to discover things like that and to like make it my own, because that is like, yeah, something I discovered, but it's also like something that's just then specific to me. And when other women do it, they're gonna find something that's like specific to them. And so it's just about like little things like that, I guess, too.
yeah. And like someone that's really like been kind of someone that I've thought about whenever like kind of curating my style and like think about how I kind of carry myself is the model Grace Jones. This woman,
Oh yeah.
yeah, she just exudes like, yes, she has like a lot of like masculine energy, but like also I feel like no one's gonna be completely feminine and no one's gonna be completely masculine. And I had a conversation with one of my friends from high school, which is also called, her name is also Kale, which is funny to me. Um, but we had a conversation because I got misgendered on Instagram once, and like this person, they were like, "Ew, you're a man." I'm like, "I'm a man." And they're like, thought that I was um trans, and I was like, "What the frick?"
Mm,
But and it's also like especially like harmful because like, what about people that are actually trans? Like,
mm,
why are you
mm,
bothered about what they decide to do with their life? But it was just like I had a conversation with Kaylee and I was like, yeah, what the heck is this all about? And she was like, no one's gonna be completely um feminine and no one's gonna be completely masculine. I mean, there's a yin and yang to it. So like, and like one thing like within fashion, like especially in like the 70s, was everyone was looked, their style was a little bit more androgynous. So
yeah.
it was never just like completely like, of course there's like things that were like very very feminine, but also the men would wear things that were very feminine and the women would wear things that are like more masculine. So it's like, I don't know. And then, like, you also got to remember, like, things go in and out, like, of style, and
Hmm.
our opinions on like how we dress and how we like perceive each other changes, and it's still changing right now. So
Yeah, I was gonna mention too, like I'm assuming there will pretty soon be a shift towards, and I know Billie Eilish like stole this from
mhm.
towards like people do want androgynous stuff more now and like want these like looks that aren't about like just your body, especially because we're coming out of like skinny jeans and like that whole era where it was, I feel like, really tailored to like a body shape, but also a very specific body shape where it's like being skinny and like being thin or whatever. And like it also is really intermingled with like how society just really likes culturally appropriating so much, because now everyone wants to like be thick and like all this kind of stuff,
Mhm.
whatever. But I do think fashion is going in a direction where, especially because of how we think about nostalgia in fashion and how our generation and the internet's generation, like, because we have access to the internet, we can pick out like vintage styles that we like and stuff. So Yeah, you saying that about the 70s, I think the 80s was also really androgynous too, because like you look at 80s movies and like it doesn't matter if it was a guy or a girl, like they're wearing like those like acid wash jeans and like some kind of like band shirt or whatever. Like
Yeah.
those are very androgynous looks. And um people like Billie Eilish are like trying or are normalizing like bigger clothing and like how that could look on your body and things like that. Also, your outfit was making me think about brats and how people were really into like brats fashion and stuff now, because there was a moment in the early 2000s where like they were making like a very hyper feminine version of masculine like fashion, you know, or maybe I'm mixing up how I'm saying it, but just like I think about like Britney Spears and like Paris Hilton and stuff, like there's a lot of low cut pants that were like still cargo pants, or like
Yeah.
remember Freaky Friday too, like they would wear kind of like
Yeah.
things that are more masculine or like grunge or whatever. And I don't know if it's because like they're trying to achieve like a certain aesthetic, but like there still was a moment where like women that were viewed as like super like hyper femme are wearing these like more boxy clothes or like darker colors and like things that aren't necessarily categorized as like hyper feminine.
Exactly. Um, and I think that's what honestly influenced my style now. Is like kind of like, wearing things that are not always tight fit. Like, of course, like I love my staple is a good crop top, like a simple crop top. Like I love the crop top. But like also wear like baggier pants. I just really like how that silhouette looks. And just like or an oversized t-shirt and like, I don't know, some like high-waisted shorts and like halfway like tuck them in and stuff, like just like play around with shapes and stuff like that, um and different genres of style.
And being able to tailor things to your own body, because that's how I think I ended up going for a more like masculine feminine look, is because like it does accentuate the specifically woman features like of my body, you know. And I'm not trying to think about womanhood as this thing that's like biologically like whatever. I'm just thinking about how I apply it to myself.
Yeah.
um I look better in these like masculine clothes. And sometimes it's just because I was reading this one girl that I follow on YouTube, the girl that I sent you that does like thrifting, Ali Vera. She
Mhm.
said that she started thrifting because like when you would go to mainstream stores or whatever, they don't have stuff that like flatters you or is in your size or whatever. And that is true of like us girls that like don't have these like bodies, because so much of clothes that you buy, like fast fashion type clothes, for example, because sometimes that's all people have access to as well, like other than thrifting. But anyway, like I look better in these like clothes that were made for like either bigger people or men or whatever, because it's literally just about how the item is structured and was constructed, that like it fits better and looks better on me. And that's something I've had a hard time with too, is like thinking about what we view as like plus size, because I also put on my Depop that like my stuff is plus size or whatever, but then when I model the clothes and you see a photo of me in the clothes, like it doesn't look like how they make pictures of plus size clothes for people to buy, you know. Like I feel like when you look at pictures of like plus size clothes or whatever, or even how they design certain plus size clothes, like they're made specifically like to exempt, like what is the word I'm thinking, like just like put in your face like this is a plus size person, like it's like structured a certain way, whatever. But when I post plus size clothes, it looks like I'm like just which I am. It looks like I'm just like a normal size like human, you know, like um our whole like thing with like plus size clothing and how what type of woman you can be depending on size is also in there as well.
Yeah, I want to start a Depop. I really need to start one.
You should. It's really fun.
um
Well, it's like it's time consuming, but it's really gratifying too.
yeah. um but yeah, I totally agree with that. Like I don't understand why it's just like, oh, we got to completely change like the fashion just for certain shapes of things like that, because like everyone can pull off everything if it's like tailored the right way.
Mhm. I
So
think it's also still tied up in like how women's sizing even works, you know, like there's like I think I found this out because of Depop, but I found out that like the difference between like a size 6 and like a size 10 was only like a matter of like 2 inches on your waist or something. I'm like, how can you like fit these things in between there? And then I also think like that's just reflective of how the fashion industry caters specifically to like an idealized white woman's body, you know, of like women being small and like not taking up a lot of space, because then like it is weird that like someone like me is considered like plus size, you know, and that like what is even the threshold for like what is plus size, like what's the waist size of like a plus size, because I don't like I don't feel like I'm plus size and I don't really present as plus size, and I'm also not necessarily like overweight. I'm still at like a healthy weight. There's so many like healthy people out there and it's just dependent on your build and stuff and like your body composition and whatever. Like it's really weird, and then that also impacts like how people can perceive themselves as women too, because like if you're only saying that like this size of woman can be like a woman and all the other women have to be plus size, like it's really like it's really harmful to how you can view yourself.
exactly.
And then you also are limited on options. Like, what are other girls gonna wear? They have only the choices of just like these really ugly things that are made for just specifically a plus size person, or a
Yeah,
generalized idea of what a plus size person looks like.
right. There needs to be a lot of work within the fashion industry and how they go about sizing things and like labeling different things and stuff like that. And having the range, because like you know how with like makeup and stuff, a few years back, like maybe 7 years ago, a lot of the foundations and stuff would not have my shade at all. They just didn't have the range. And then we have people that come into the industry that understand the plight of people with darker skin. The heck? Why?
What was that?
Someone in a
Oh,
motorcycle.
it's a car.
Yeah. But they under they understand the plight of people with darker skin, so they're gonna want to make stuff of good quality that can not only suit people with darker skin, but suit people that are even of the palest of skin. And that was like things like Fenty and stuff like that. And after that happened, then it became a kind of trendy to like make inclusive stuff, makeup for everyone. And I feel like that's gonna eventually happen within the fashion industry, but it's happening at a way slower pace than I expected. So, yeah. But we
I
hope
think it's
to
gonna,
move.
it feels like it's gonna take like just doing your own work, you know, because I feel like that's how I felt about like womanhood too. It's like I tried waiting around to see if there's like people like me or whatever, and it just doesn't work. You really need to like hone in on your own things, and that's why I really like Depop for like the liberty and like agency it can give to people, and like I really like that my shop is like size inclusive, but it never makes you feel like you're like buying something plus size, like you're just buying something you like, you know, and it's in your size.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, I'm scared to get. I've been scared to get on Depop because I know I'm gonna want to buy everything.
There are times, especially after I sell something, especially selling a lot of stuff, I'm like, well, at least I can afford to like whatever, but it's hard, and it still is like a social media platform, you know, that it feels like, because it's algorithm based and like you do need to be like active, so it takes up a lot of time, and all you're doing essentially is just engaging with like people's advertisements. But I think it helps, looking at other people's stuff and not buying it still helps me think about how I want to take my pictures, and like um yeah, it's just a really cool photo experiment. It's also been really fun to like be your own model too, like just taking pictures. And it helps me, I feel like doing that helps me get rid of clothes, because sometimes I'll be sad to get rid of something because I'm like, oh, well, it's still cool. I want to wear it. I'm like, well, at least I have this really dope picture of me wearing it.
Right.
I want to know your thoughts too of like what's your current vision for like your YouTube, and do you feel like you want to use TikTok to do that as well, or just stick to one or the other?
I honestly need to like introduce my TikTok audience to my YouTube channel, because the way that the thing, like my profile set up and how everyone else is set up, is if you like share a link to like your Instagram and your YouTube, it'll show your Instagram, and then like if you click on the Instagram thing, it'll pop up and say Instagram and YouTube. So I need to like promote it, because you can't even tell that I have a YouTube on there really, unless you click on it. But I really want to introduce my TikTok audience to my YouTube, because the majority of my TikTok audience is Black women or Black men, and I make a lot of content, and some of them are like more plant-based people or like health forward people. So I think that they would be interested in my content, and a lot of people like hair videos, and I do have a couple of hair videos. I've been seeing a growth since I've been consistent.
Mhm. I feel like it comes down to just like algorithm stuff, because I feel like doing a hair video is something that gets caught in the algorithm, and just because people look up that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
um, that was why I did a 35 millimeter one, and I want to do more, but I also have a hard time, like, I feel like you have the advantage because you can be entertaining for just like 17 minutes, like on any given day. I feel like it takes a lot out of me to like, or to just even find and be able to talk about something the way I want to, and in a way that's like a presentation.
Yeah.
It's hard to be consistent in that way. I'm so proud of you for being able to do that.
Thank you. I just like to talk to myself. So, how have you been doing with like, because I know that like you have to make some big choices now. So, how's that for you?
Mm, I don't even know, because it's like it really comes down to what do I want to do with like my young adult years.
Hmm.
um because I was accepted to a PhD program, and I was also accepted to an MFA program, and I'm very blessed because both of them are full rides, so I don't have to worry about really like that stuff, but that kind of puts me in a situation where I'm deciding between like, do I want to be under 30 with a PhD, or do I want to have a break from this very specific type of research to have more time to commit to photography in a way that I've never like had the opportunity to. But it's also really interesting because I have noticed that through graduate school, or that graduate school has allowed me to grow intellectually in ways that I don't think art curriculum necessarily does,
Hmm.
especially in like the university system. So it kind of feels like I could get smarter and my art will still get better if I do a PhD program. So it doesn't seem like it's a matter of like having to give up one thing to do a different thing. It's like just about how do I want to execute things and what do I want the next few years of my life to look like.
This is gonna be fun to edit. Thank you for coming. Can I get your socials?
I could do one of these like on TikTok, like point to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Well,
Follow me on Instagram and Depop.
and Depop, buy her stuff, like her stuff.
Like it, yeah. Just follow me, on.
Yeah. Um, thank you for coming. Thanks for having this conversation with
Yeah.
me.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time. It was great to be on the show.
I miss you. I can't wait to finally link up whenever we get them shots.
Yeah, let me know when you're in Chicago too, because I wanna go to Chicago and see everybody. So
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for coming. I will talk to you later. And I need to start doing a British accent that I know where
I will talk to you later.
later. And you guys know where to find me. All the information will be in the description box. So yeah. You guys have a great day. Don't do anything stupid. Nothing that I wouldn't do, and that's saying a lot. Okay,
You
bye.
always say that.